Working Committee is today expected to meet. The party's Secretary-General, Magashule, is expected to face questions about his meeting with former President Jacob Zuma in Durban a fortnight ago. Magashule has been in the spotlight in this past week following reports that the meeting was to plot the ousting of the party's president, Cyril Ramaphosa. The ANC's national spokesperson, Pule Mabe, joins us in studio now to give us a little bit more detail about this and other issues. Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in, Pule.
Morning and morning to your viewers.
So we've got a little bit more clarity about that Sunday Times expose last Sunday. There was denials from the ruling party and not too sure if they can confirm or not confirm the meeting happened. But in fact, it did happen, and we heard this from SG. But what is expected to take place today now with the top six and Magashule?
Well, just to start from the beginning, Leanne, the initial statement from the party had to do with the refutal of a plot. You know, it is very important that we put that context across. But also, today's meeting is a scheduled meeting of the National Working Committee. You know, when I was driving to you this morning on your SABC radio news, your news reporters, they were already saying that today's meeting is going to discuss Magashule. It is very important that the Secretary General, it is very important that we place this on record. This is a scheduled National Working Committee meeting. You will know that the last special NEC was held on the 30th of August in Cape Town. Now, at the conclusion of that meeting, we had a press conference on the 31st of August. At that press conference, we announced, amongst others, the dissolution of the Northwest Province. We also announced the setting up of a PTT. You would recall, Leanne, that when we announced that decision, we did say that the NEC had agreed on only the name of the convener and had deferred the finalization of or composition of the PTT to the National Working Committee. Now, the National Working Committee, in terms of the ANC constitution, is set up to take forward instructions of the NEC, like it did when it had to deal with the question of the Premier of the Northwest. So we could not immediately meet because the following Monday, the president of the ANC, who's also the president of the country, had to lead a delegation to China for the FACOC conference. So that was to happen on the 3rd. I think it was starting the following week. But immediately that same week, you had fire at the Lisbon Bank building in town.
Yeah.
Now, that building is not very far from the Thuli House. It would have had certain effects, or it would have impacted on the running of the ANC in this way, because the National Working Committee was supposed to sit on the 10th of September. That meeting could not sit. It was at a time when certain roads were closed in Joburg.
Okay, so the reality is it's been moved today. It's nothing out of the
Yes,
ordinary.
no, it has been moved. So I'm trying to give that chronology so that
which is good.
That we can at least assist each other.
But let's get to the fact of SG. What is expected of him today?
Well, this is it's an ordinary National Working Committee meeting. I mean, it's like asking me, Pule, when you go to the National Working Committee, what is expected of you? This is it's an ordinary National Working Committee meeting. The National Working, so without having to go into the agenda of the NWC, I've only picked up an issue which we've already placed on record. Remember, we've already placed on record when we did a press briefing on the 31st of August. We did place it on record that the next NWC would be seized with the matter of finalizing the PTT of the Northwest, which means that when you meet today, as instructed by the NEC, one of the urgent matters that you must deal with is to make sure that you have got you conclude the composition of the provincial task team of the Northwest. Because as matters stand, you only have the convener of the PTT, which is not ideal to be able to carry forward your political program in that province.
I do understand that, but
yes.
Pule, I feel like you're not answering my question. I'm asking such a simple question. What is expected of Magashule at today's meeting? I mean, that's all I've asked you 3 times now.
Yes.
What is he expected to do today?
But I'm answering you in terms of you are going to the NWC.
Yes, for sure. Just in terms of the plot, in terms of what he's meant to be doing at this meeting, what he's meant to be saying, that's all. Just that.
Yes,
what is he doing?
No, Leanne, I'm trying to, in a very nice way, tell you that the media does not set the agenda for the NWC.
Okay, so this may not even be on the agenda,
yes,
is what you're telling me.
Because the media doesn't set the agenda. Remember that in the conference of the ANC, when we go, we don't elect media.
Of course, we know that.
Yes. So now, I'm trying to give you a background to demonstrate to you that this NWC would have said 2 weeks ago, it did not sit because of those events.
Okay.
So we don't sit the NWC because they are current affairs. The NWC is a standard committee of the ANC that is defined by this constitution.
Pule, is it going to be discussed or not? I mean, are we not allowed to know the agenda of the meeting?
Well, I think that what normally happens is that after the NWC, we will issue a statement. In the statement of the NWC, we will then tabulate decisions of the NWC.
So our story that we're leading with may be very, very wrong. The fact that he's appearing before the top six to explain the meeting and ideas of a conspiracy to overthrow or a plot to oust our sitting president, Cyril Ramaphosa.
All I know is that today's National Working Committee is an ordinary, regular, and it's not a special NWC. It is an ordinary NWC. So it will discuss issues that it would have had to discuss when it was supposed to sit at that time that it didn't sit.
Okay.
So let's say, and for the benefit of your viewers, let's say that the NWC does get to reflect on matters that are now out there in the public. When the NWC has done that, and there are certain things that require it to communicate, what we will do is that immediately after the National Working Committee, if there are things that don't need to wait for the NEC for processing, we'll place those out in the public, like we've done in the past. You'll remember that after the last NWC, the Deputy Secretary General did come out to outline what were decisions of the NWC. So it could be a preemptive strike for me as the national spokesperson of the ANC to want to go into an NWC meeting that is still yet to sit.
Yeah. Okay, we'll forget about this because we're not going to get anywhere on that meeting.
Yes.
But let's talk about SG for a little bit and find out, has he given an explanation internally with regards to the meeting that took place? And it did take place, even though, Ace was saying it's a very standard meeting, he always meets. But, I mean, usually when there's a meeting, the media is told we come with our cameras and we get the handshakes and it's all wonderful and lovely. We were never told about this. There was big denials. There was, this didn't happen. Then, of course, he had to grant interviews to the media to explain it, and it was kind of explained, but not really explained. But has he spoken internally to the ANC about this meeting?
Well, Leanne, to be fair to the Secretary General of the ANC and our organization as well, the National Working Committee is effectively meeting for the first time today, after this news have surfaced.
So he will be talking about it today?
The only... Not necessarily talk about it. All I'm just saying to you is that it is only today that you are having a meeting. When the Secretary General clarified his position on the meeting, he did explain that he had already taken the officials into confidence on the deliberations there. Okay. I think that it is only fair to allow the Working Committee to proceed with its work. Should some of these issues be part of the things that are labored upon, I am sure that when the NWC conclude its business, if there are things that requires to be communicated on this specific matter, the NWC will effectively do so.
Okay. Another issue that came up, and I think it was on Friday, and it was quite worrisome, and the SABC came out against it. Now, let's talk about the next statement coming out of the SG, quoted as commenting about how the party will not allow retrenchments at the SABC. This, of course, the board came out saying we need room to do our work and we do not need any political interference into this. What is the standpoint from the ANC with regard to a statement from Ace Magashule about retrenchments at the SABC?
Well, I'm sure that there was a subsequent statement by the Secretary General effectively providing context to the earlier statement. And I think the context that was given was quite sufficient in the manner that it came out. You wouldn't remember that even when there were talks of retrenchments in the public service, the African National Congress would have come out against such a stand. It does so all the time. But also, when we speak against retrenchment, we do not seek to enter into the internal operations of whether it's state institutions or private companies. In the same way that we speak against retrenchments in the mining sector, I'm sure that when such retrenchments happen at SOE level, there would also be a concern. Now, a party that regards itself as a leader of society has got to be seen to also be making statements that are in the interest of the people. Of course, without necessarily getting into what would be the independence of such structures.
Yeah, and bailouts for respective state-owned enterprises. And let's perhaps talk about the SABC. We're heading into 6:30, so this is it. Many people, particularly organizations like SANEF, saying, can we not offer some form of a bailout to the SABC? Is it still on the agenda? Is there hope? Because there is certainly big fears of retrenchments and people losing their jobs here.
Well, what I can tell you is that, and fortunately, the relevant Minister of Communications is also a member of the NEC and also sit in the NWC. And I am sure that through the relevant structures of the African National Congress, we will be able to get a report and understand the work that is happening there. We need to at least move with caution when we enter such spaces, especially where we've got deployees who are seized with some of these issues. We must allow them to at least give us reports on the work that is being undertaken to make sure that they stabilize some of these SOEs.
All right. We'll have to leave it there for today. But Pule, thanks for coming in and talking to us this morning. We'll await the outcomes of the meeting from this morning and hopefully get a little bit more clarity on certain issues, the PTT, and most also with regards to whether or not the Magashule Zuma meeting will be discussed as well, and issues in that Northwest province. So those are just some of the issues that should be discussed at the NWC, but we should find out later today.